How's it going, and welcome to No Fun Allowed, and today I'm going to be showing off combat in Dungeon Crawl Classics. I'm going to be doing a Zeroth level fight as well as a leveled up fight, so that we can show off a bit of the cool things that you pick up as you level up in this game. So it's in here in DCC where we get a basic overview. Combat is very simple. The basic sequence is as follows. Before the first round, the judge checks for surprise. Based on the result of the surprise check, each player, not character, rolls for initiative. At higher levels, initiative is instead rolled by character, see next page. So that comes down to when you're running that 0th level meat grinder, you typically have it where each player has either 3 or 4 PCs right in front of them. And instead of sitting there and saying, oh, I'm going to roll for 16, 20, 24 different characters, no, just each player rolls initiative once, you control your little horde, and just make life simple. Characters and monsters act in initiative order, and attacks are resolved by rolling dice, adding modifiers, and comparing the results to the defender's AC. That's it. Very, very basic, right? We don't need to go into the super duper elaborate. We don't need to go into the crazy minutia. Just pick up, roll dice, go. In regards to the vernacular here, we have timekeeping. Combat takes place in rounds. Each round is approximately 10 seconds. And dungeon exploration outside of combat takes place in turns. Each turn is approximately 10 minutes. So we're working on a metric system here. Makes life super simple. You keep track of everything in instances of 10, and you're good to go. So let's take a look at a few more things before we start rolling some combat here. We have movement. The majority of people are going to have a 30 movement. However, dwarves and halflings have a 20 movement, and depending on the sort of armor that you have, and if you have a heavy load, it could be slower. We also have the marching order. Yeah, before you show up and say, hey, we're definitely going to have this person on the flanks, this person up, this person behind, etc., etc. And lastly, we get to initiative. Character death is frequent and merciless in DCC, so the rules encourage each player to run more than one character at low levels. As such, we recommend 2 kinds of initiative. In the low level play, the 0, 1, maybe even 2, especially with large masses of characters, use group initiative. Roll once for each player, applying the highest initiative modifier amongst your little rabble. When each player acts, he declares actions for all his characters. Just, hey, it doesn't really matter. You send all your people to go find melee. Maybe one person runs to the door, one person charges off against the foe, whatever. Just make sure that whatever you're doing, make it quick. In higher level play, however, when each player has no more than 2 characters, use individual initiative by character. Roll once for each character and apply all appropriate modifiers. Because at that point, once you get to the higher levels, especially once you get 5th level and above, that is when individual characters are insanely strong and a bit more complex, and it makes sense that instead of grouping them all up in one, you definitely have those 1 or 2 people act on their own. But the big thing here is surprise. First, determine surprise. If the characters were not aware of their opponent, they are surprised. This is not like a lot of other OSR game systems where you roll for surprise and each side rolls sides. No, just use the practical sense of the thing. If they get into an encounter and it totally makes sense that your players were not expecting something and something pops up, of course they're going to be surprised. But at the vice versa, if your players are very smart and tactical, then there's no way they're going to get surprised if they know that something is about to come at them. And finally here for the initiative check, we see that it's conducted by rolling a d20 and adding the appropriate modifier, agility modifier, and for warriors, they're class level, so they're more likely to go first. Pretty cool. The highest initiative roll goes first, then the next, and so on. Ties are broken by highest agility score, then by highest hit die. A d16 is used instead of a d20 for characters wielding a 2-handed weapon. Initiative is rolled once at the start of each encounter, not each round. So this is not a system where you're rolling initiative over and over and over again. Just, hey, you get into the combat, you roll the initiative once, you're good to go. So here is my 0th level rabble. These people are peasants, and they picked up the arms to go through their 0th level death funnel. I'm just sending them off to get themselves killed, and hopefully one of them survives, and then they'll go on to be awesome heroes. So as we're taking a look here, I've just got these like simple tokens here, but taking a look at what a character sheet would look like for all these low level peasants here, we can see that their HP is going to be anywhere between 1 to 5. Their stats are typically going to be garbage because we're rolling 3d6 down the line. But we can see here we've got some interesting characters. We got a tax collector, an herbalist, a noble, and a halfling trader. Pretty interesting. So for the 0th level combat, I'm going to say that this town's been plagued by bandits, and bandits have been harassing the town, and all of the peasants are tired of this, and 4 of them are going out to strike out against what they think is a camp over yonder. The peasants were marching through the wilderness at night, and thus they were kind of bumbling around a bit. But at the same time, all the bandits are humans as well, so everyone just getting caught up on everything, and I'm going to say that there is no surprise, so this is just going to be a flat-out combat. So I'm going to roll once for my group, and then I'm going to roll once for the bandits. Our would-be heroes only got a 2, but the bandits got a 16. The bandits are up first, and this is where things are going to get hairy. So we can see here that bandits are actually relatively scary. They have a +2 to their initiative, but that didn't matter for this case. They have a +2 to their attack, which is actually really good for them. Once again, and they're going to be doing damage equal to 1d8 plus 1, or if they've got a salvo of javelins, then they're going to be doing all of that fun stuff. They have an AC of 15. They're only having a 1d8 of hit die, so hopefully one hit can take them out. And they have a d20 for their action, and they get all these saving throws, but those saving throws aren't going to matter for us. So now that it is the bandit's turn, let's take a look at what you can do for actions. A character has one or more actions each round expressed by their action die. Most characters have one action die, which everyone's going to have until they reach a certain level, which is a d20. Higher level characters may have 2 or more actions expressed as action die, such as a d20 or d16. That'll be in your class action there. It'll tell you when you get that. Each round, a character or monster may move its normal speed and do one thing for each action dice. The actions a character takes depends on their class. So all characters can take another movement for their actions. It's a dash action. A warrior can attack for each of his actions, rolling d20 for the first and a different die for the second one. A wizard can attack or cast a spell with the first die and can only cast a spell with the second die. An elf can attack or cast a spell with any of the action die. Pretty cool, a little flexible there. And so on according to the class descriptions. So once you pick up your class, you'll be able to read through it all and you'll be able to tell what you can do. A normal 0th level character with one action can move and attack once each round. And then you can see a 6th level warrior with an action dice of d20 plus d16 can do any of the following combinations, etc, etc. So we can see here for this activity we get draw or sheath a weapon, equip a drop a shield, open a door, light a torch, etc, etc. We get all these things. Basically, you do not want to be wasting your actions doing something unnecessary unless it's absolutely vital. You don't want to be sitting there trying to uncork the potion if you don't need to, but if it's absolutely necessary, absolutely you're going to do it. So let's show it off, shall we? We have these bandits moving on up, and they are probably going to be pretty scary here. They are trained and our peasants are not. So unfortunately, I think that the first round is going to be quite deadly. So immediately the 2 bandits on the left are going to try and shank the one on the left there. And unfortunately, the 8 plus the 2 is still going to hit poor Greedy Gary here, who's got a 10. And then the 15 is easily going to hit. So they are doing a bunch of damage. And I think Greedy Gary is going to die because, unfortunately, only 3 HP. It's not that great. And unfortunately for Gary, oh, that's going to be more than enough damage. Totally dead. Unfortunate. But hey, that's what the 0th level ones are for. So why are they dead? Let's take a look at that, shall we? So we can see that a successive attack always inflicts 1 point of damage no matter what. Even if you have like a -4 or whatever it is to the attack, you're always going to do at the bare minimum 1 damage. A character or monster dies when it reaches 0 hit points. However, once you get to the level play, there is a chance of saving a dead character by healing them quickly, such as a cleric's ability to lay on hands. A 0th level character that reaches 0 HP is irrevocably killed, but a 1st level character that reaches 0 HP collapses and begins bleeding out. Such a character has 1 round in which he can be healed to prevent his death. So you can see there at the beginning, yeah, your nobodies are going to be dying left and right, but once you get to the higher levels, that's when you're going to be able to survive a little bit more. And now we're going to have the 2 bandits on the right attack poor Lorna Lou, and one of them is going to miss, so theoretically she could survive. She does have 5 HP. And let's see, oh, she's actually knocked down to 0 and totally dead. And we're already outnumbered, but hey, I've seen crazier mishaps happen. Let's see what'll go down here. I'm gonna have both of them run up and try and kill somebody. So Byron and Lucky here are not going to be attacking with any major plus or anything, but if they hit, then they are still going to probably do some decent damage. And let's see how they do. They actually both come in pretty solid, but those bandits have a high AC. They have an AC of 15. As a reminder, this is an ascending armor class. Ascending armor class just makes life simple and easy. And we can see there that unfortunately we missed one. But hey, Byron still got his attack in, and we'll see that that does 3 damage, which unfortunately did not kill that bandit, because that bandit had exactly 4 HP. Pretty unfortunate. It's at this point, these two people immediately surrender, and that's the end of their careers. They realize that they're way in over their heads, and the bandits are going to continue to reign supreme. When you do an actual Zeroth level funnel with combat, you typically have a bunch, and I do mean a bunch, of a whole bunch of character sheets. If you have only 4 or 5 players at the table, I do recommend each player having 4 characters at the bare minimum. If you are doing one of those fun adventures, like this one right here behind me, then you are going to see a lot of PC death, but that's okay. That's part of the charm, that's part of the fun, and that helps you weed out all of those terrible NPCs so that the one good one gets to stick out and become an awesome adventurer. So of course, Zeroth level combat is incredibly simple because there's not much you can do. You barely have any actions, your characters suck, you don't have any abilities, etc, etc. It really comes down to the ingenuity that each player has for what their characters can do, and just rolling a whole bunch of dice and hoping something sticks. Now let's show off a bit of that leveled combat. So for the instances of this one, I'm going to show off the warrior, the wizard, the elf, and the thief. Just a nice little smattering of things. There's more classes, of course, and if you actually look through all of the DCC adventures, there's even more. So you can definitely find quite a lot. I'm just showing off these 4 because there's a nice little rotation of things going on here. So let's take a look first at the warrior. Just a quick showcase here of what makes the warrior special is their attack modifier. They immediately at level 1 are adding a D3 to not only their attack roll, but their damage roll. So they are hitting more frequently and they're doing more damage. That makes them just totally awesome. That makes them the martial kings. They get to do a bunch of fun things. They get the mighty deeds, which they can declare before an attack, and they can try to disarm people, and they can try to trip people up. Their critical hits is off the charts. Literally, it's off the charts from other people because they crit more frequently, and they also are able to do more damage and a whole bunch more fun things. You know, just looking through all of these when you finally pick your class, or if you just want to look through, there's a ton of fun things. It really helps determine what kind of class you want to be. And of course, something very important is always looking at this chart. We can see here that at level 1, you get the D3 to your attacks. You get a D12 for your crit table, as well as you are rolling on the crit table number 3. Your crit range is at 19 through 20, and you get, of course, all those bonuses to your save. Really great stuff. The wizard, as you take a look through, doesn't have too much going on in regards of features. What makes the wizard in particular fascinating is the fact that their spell casting is just crazy. Is the fact that when you go to cast a spell, you've got no idea what the heck's going on, but it's going to be a ton of fun, and there's a whole bunch of fun things with that. The elf is a mixture between the warrior and the wizard. They're able to cast some spells, and they can also get up in some scrums. They're not exactly the best. They're not going to be as strong as a warrior in melee, but they can hold their own, and they get a whole bunch of cool things, specifically in regards of the elves automatically get a patron, which is pretty cool. And the thief gets the traditional thiefy things, but depending on the alignment that you are, you're going to be better at some things more than others. Also, they get a huge list there on what they can do with their luck. Most people, you typically can only use your luck for one little-ish thing, but the thief in particular, they get to do a bunch of cool things. And as mentioned before, yeah, taking a look at this chart, you can see there that a chaotic thief is way better at backstabbing someone than a neutral thief, for instance. So now we're going to show off the combat of leveled play. So the peasants, after getting thoroughly whooped by a whole bunch of these bandits, then it just so happens that a group of adventurers are showing up, and these people know a thing or two. So let's kick it off. Let's show off that combat. The adventurers know what's up. The bandits know what's up. So let's kick off the initiative here. The adventurers getting an 18. The bandits getting a 16. As a reminder, the bandits did have that plus their initiative, but it just so happens that in our party, someone has an agility. Our thief has a +1 to their agility, and thus we're going to be using that for the initiative here. So with our mighty band of adventurers up first, we're going to kick things off. The warrior's going to stand their ground and get ready. But here is where we're going to be showing off the magic. as the wizard has some things up their sleeve. When I rolled up these characters, I got a whole bunch of random spells, and when you know it, I have Enlarge. I think Enlarge could be pretty awesome, so I'm going to have the wizard cast Enlarge on the warrior. So let's hope that actually kicks off. And let's show off how magic actually works. So for all the spells, you get the list there. It says level 1, range touch, duration 1 turn per caster level, casting time 1 round, etc., etc. By touching a creature, object, or targeting himself, the caster causes the target to grow in size. So that is what we're hoping for. We're trying to get our warrior to be strong, because if our warrior gets bigger, then that could mean some pretty awesome things. So when your character casts a spell, you roll a d20 and add your caster level and apply your luck modifier. This is called a spell check. You also add your personality modifier if you're a cleric, or your intelligence modifier if you are a wizard. Wizards also apply modifiers for wearing bulky armor, and there may be other modifiers specific to certain situations. So we can see here that we're really trying to get a 14 and up. We really want this spell to go off, because if it does, then our AC and our attacks get a bonus, which is going to be pretty cool. So unfortunately, looking at our wizard, they don't have either a luck or intelligence modifier, so it's just flat out their level. So we get a d20 plus 1. Let's see how this goes. And the wizard gets an 11. So an 11 is not what we are looking for. So before rolling this, I am going to absolutely guarantee, I need to guarantee that we are going to get a high number here, because if we get a low number, then we're going to lose a spell. We could potentially corrupt ourselves. We don't want any of that. We want to make sure that this spell is going to go off. So how do we do that? We do that through spellburn. Before rolling any spell check, a wizard may declare that he will attempt a spellburn. In attempting spellburn, the wizard temporarily expends points of his strength, agility, or stamina score to enhance his spell check. For every ability point he expends, the wizard adds a +1 to his spell check. So as a reminder, we are looking for a higher number here. We want to get at the bare minimum 14. We need to get that, and if we get even higher than that, that would actually be really dope. In fact, if we got to the 20s and up, that'd be great. I don't know how much we have to spare, so let's find out. We actually do have a sizable amount to spare, so I'm going to sacrifice 5 of my strength, and I'm going to sacrifice 5 of my agility. I don't care right now. We need this spell to go off because we want to intimidate those bandits. So in total, we are adding 11 to this spell check because we are adding 1 for our level, and we unfortunately don't have a bonus to our intelligence or our luck. So this is just a 1d20 plus 11, and we get an 18. Not bad. An 18 puts us right there at the cusp of the target increases in size by 50%, conferring a +2 bonus to attack and damage and AC due to greater size and strength. So our warrior is now roided out. This is awesome. Now with that out of the way, we have the elf. Let's take a look at what the elf has for options. Funnily enough, I rolled all these characters, and this elf actually also has enlarge. So I'm going to say the elf is going to try and enlarge himself. So this elf has a unique thing of whenever you are an elf, you get to add a plus to your luck to a spell. So I'm going to say that was to their enlarge because they like, you know, getting all bulked up. And I'm going to sacrifice 2 of my con here for the spell burn, so I'm going to add a +4. So hopefully that puts us somewhere good. It does. We get a 19. And we saw that before. Same result. This elf is going to get roided up. And lastly here for this thief. This thief didn't walk actually with the main group. They're slinking off in the shadows. They're trying to get in a good position to try and flank from behind. So I'm going to have them roll for hide in shadows, which they have a +4 to. And are they successful in hiding? Yeah, they're pretty friggin' successful in hiding. And now it's on to the bandits' turn. These bandits shamble forward. It's odd. They're shambling funnily. Guess what? They're not actually bandits. They're zombie bandits. They're dumb. They shamble forward, and now it is time for our guys to strike at them hard. First up, we have the warrior move up and strike out hard. Our warrior is armed only with a dagger, but guess what? That dagger is now enlarged. So our warrior is going to be attacking now with a +1 from their strength modifier, plus an additional +2 because they're enlarged, and an additional 1d3. And that's going to put us at a total of 13. Yes, these zombies are not putting up any sort of resistance, and they get hit. So it's really funny and really unfortunate about this warrior is their lucky roll is born on the battlefield, damage rolls, and unfortunately they're really unlucky, so they have a -1 here. So we can see here that their damage is going to be a d4 for the dagger, and it's going to be plus that 3 that we rolled there for our d die, and it's going to be an additional +2 for our enlarged status, And normally it would be a +1 with that also our strength. But at the same time, we also have that -1 from that lucky thing. So we're only going to be doing 1d4 plus 5 damage. But with an 8 for damage, that's still pretty freaking good, and that zombie is out of there. Next, we are going to have the elf move up, and the elf is going to be doing the same thing, but hopefully a little bit better. So this elf is going to move forward and attack, and unlike the warrior, instead of getting a dice for added to their damage and to their attack roll, they just have a flat +1. So it's going to be a +1 from the strength, +1 because of the level 1 elf, and of course we're also going to have some damage there later on. So our elf comes stabbing in hard with a natural 20, and this is where we show off those beautiful crit tables. So if you don't know off the top of your head which crit table you're going to be rolling on, you can always go back to your character list there, and we can see there that at level 1, our elf is going to be rolling a D6, and that's going to be on crit table number 2. So we get a colorful list here on what we can expect from the table here. And as a reminder, luck is a big deal here. If we have a plus to our luck, then hey, that could prove pretty awesome here on this crit table. Alrighty, here's high roll and lucky. Alrighty, we get 3. 3's not bad. 3 is clean strike to back. Inflict plus 2d6 damage with this strike. So that is huge. We're already going to be doing our damage in addition to an additional 2d6. So methinks that we're going to blow this poor zombie out the water. So we're going to be popping off here. We have the 1d4, and then we're going to have a +1 because of our strength, +2 because we're enlarged, and we're going to have 2d6 because of the crit there. With 13 points of damage, that zombie is out of here. Next up we have the wizard, and the wizard unfortunately is not a type of melee wizard. They don't really have too much going on here, and they're not going to be pumping out any sort of reasonable damage, and they just don't feel like getting themselves killed. So the wizard's just going to hang back and shout out encouraging words. But the thief is primed and ready to go. Our thief, who actually probably shouldn't have a spear, they should probably have some sort of other weapon, but whatever. The thief is going to rush up and quickly and quietly get a little backstab in. So with backstab, when attacking a target from behind or when the target is otherwise unaware, the thief receives the indicated attack bonus to his attack roll. In addition, if he hits, the thief automatically achieves a critical hit, rolling on the crit table as per his level. Typically, backstabs are combined with checks to sneak, silent, or hide in shadows, such as that of a thief that attacks with surprise is able to backstab. And what's very good to note is that particular weapons are actually more effective for people that are backstabbing. A thief who succeeds in a backstab attempt with one of these weapons uses the second damage value listed. All of the classes and all of the thief attacks use the first value. So we can see there, instead of if having a spear, we had a blackjack or a blowgun or the dagger, etc., etc. We could be doing better things. Man, why does this thief have a spear? Gosh darn it. So unfortunately, our thief actually isn't all that great in melee. So they have a -1 from their strength, but they do get a +1 from their backstab. So this is just going to be a flat +0 against this zombie. So this thief really wants to make sure that he gets the vital point on the zombie, and thus is going to use his luck. First, the thief rolls a luck die when he expends luck. The luck die is indicated on table 1/7 for the thief. For each point of luck he expends, he rolls 1 die and applies that modifier to his roll. So we can see there as a thief, our luck die right now, level 1, is a D3. So if I sacrifice just 1 luck right now, then I'd get only 1 D3 to this attack roll. But I could make it more and more, which I'm willing to burn 2 points of luck so we can add 2 D3 to this attack roll. So with that, we have a D20 plus 2 D3, and it's a whopping 14. That is going to be a hit, and thus we get a critical hit. And we're going to check that off right now. So coincidentally, we're going to be rolling on the same crit table here, but as you can note, there is a whole bunch of different crit tables, and most of them can't be achieved by most characters, but my goodness, those warriors, they just go all the way. So we're going to be rolling on this crit table here, and hopefully we can get something good. So thieves in particular roll a D10 at level 1, so hopefully we can get something a little bit better, and we do, we get an 8. So while I rolled an 8, we actually have a +1 to our luck, so that's going to bump it up to a 9, and this is a really good one. Foe stumbles over his own limbs falling prone. Make another attack. So this is really cool because when attacking someone that's prone, you get a bonus. So we can see there that defender is, if they are kneeling, sitting, or prone, then we are going to get a +2 to our melee attack roll. So our guy's pretty confident now that the zombie is prone on the ground and is not going to burn any of his luck. We get a D20 +2, and that's going to be an 18, which easily hits. and we are going to be popping off. Unfortunately, that minus strength is coming to bite us. Man, we should have really picked up a dagger, but whatever. And we're going to see here that, hey, we do 7 damage and that zombie is destroyed. And now there's only 1 zombie remaining. The zombie is just dumb, wanton, and attacks the elf, and hopefully it doesn't do anything too crazy. So those zombies have a +3 to their attack. Can they hit the elf? No, the elf is too big, too roided out, and thus it is worthless. And then we go on to the next phase, and undoubtedly between the warrior and the elf, they are easily going to get this. I'm just going to roll just to show off here. And actually, you know, the elf's roll is really terrible, but the warrior would get like a plus. Yeah, the warrior's got the D3 too. Yeah, the 8's good enough to hit the zombie, and thus they're going to wipe the thing out. The thief is going to come in for a little stabby stew as well, and that is going to conclude that. So combat isn't too crazy complicated, right? You just roll up your dice, you have your abilities, you try and, you know, make your spells go off. But other than that, you know, it's the traditional. It's very simple, it's very fun, it's elegant. And depending on the sort of characters that you have, the spells that you have, the items that you have, those are what really shape up the sort of combats you're going to be getting into. And of course, the adventures therein. The combat in DCC is smooth, elegant, just a ton of fun. It's a blast, and it just works so incredibly well. We're not spending too much time doing a whole bunch of crazy things. Once you know what you're doing it. Instead of sitting there waiting through a whole bunch of crazy various things, you should already have whatever you have on hand. If you are rolling those D20s, then roll the D3s if you're a warrior as well. If you are a magic user and you're going to be casting a crazy spell, have those spell charts prepared. Know exactly what you're going to get when you get that roll. And that is going to lead to a fun, dynamic, awesome combat and a ton of fun. And it's going to get moving on to all the other fun explorations and combats and whatever else you're going to be getting into later on. I love DCC. DCC is absolutely one of my most favorites out there. There's just a ton of great things for it. I love the classes. The combat's just nice and easy. And my goodness, is it just fun to roll a whole bunch of crazy wacky dice and see what our characters get up to. I showed off a little bit here of Zeroth level play and then level 1 play, but of course the game is a whole different ballpark once you get higher up. Once you get to those 6 levels and up, my goodness, are there just way more crazy spells going on. All your crazy pluses and, you know, just all these various things. It's a whole different ball game. And that's something I always try to reiterate. The Zeroth level play and the class level play are 2 different things. So don't take in one experience and assume that's like that for everything. Play a little bit of everything. It's a ton of fun. Play through quick little scenarios, play through a whole long campaign, whatever it is. Just play it. It's going to be a great time, I promise you. So go ahead and tell me, do you like the simplistic combat approach to DCC? Or are you looking for something way wackier than this? Do you like how spells can be manipulated by spellburn and luck and all those things? Or do you think that a system where the same spell goes off the same way every single time is the way to go? And will your thieves be armed with better weaponry so their backstabs are that much greater? Go ahead and tell me all those things because I would love to hear it. But that's going to do it for me. Thank you for watching. Thanks for listening. And thank you to my amazing patrons. You guys are absolutely incredible. Thank you so very much. And I cannot wait to see you all in the next one.